All right, everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I hope you enjoyed that, what do we call it? Sizzle reel. I love the music. I like that, sets me up for the morning. So anyways, I'm Jenny. I'm the head of partner marketing here at Salsify. I'm really excited about today's webinar. I have one of my favorite partners, Smartcat, joining us as well is one of our brands that we work with, Kids2. And we recently had our Digital Shelf Summit in Nashville, which I hope many of you got to attend. If you didn't, please join next year in April. But they were on stage and everyone loved their presentation. So we took a snippet of that presentation, and recently Salsify released our, I'm going to scroll to it. Salsify released our consumer research. And so today, some of it, we're going to share some of it with you. And then we're going to surround it with, this conversation with the topic of holiday. But we really wanted Kids2 and Smartcat to bring that story that they brought to the stage in Nashville. And we wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper and relate it all back to international selling, which I know you don't want to think about like holiday selling right now, but you probably should. And we want to talk about the multilingual piece, which is not talked about that often, but it's actually pretty crucial to the holiday selling season. I'm going to go back a couple slides. So this session is being recorded. You will get the recording after the session if some of your colleagues weren't able to attend, or you want a refresh of the session or the slides. And then during this webinar, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box. Myself and some other staff, Coleman from Smartcat, as well as some others, will be able to answer it live. If we're unable to answer it during the duration of the webinar, we'll answer it at the end during the Q&A portion. So feel free to just keep dropping it in, and that really helps us in the end to kind of filter through and be efficient about how we answer the questions. With that, I would love to introduce today's speakers. So I'm going to start off with Tracy, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jenny. Good morning, everybody. I'm Tracy Lackey. I'm a customer success manager based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, I've been working in the e-commerce space for about 10 years, and I've been here at Salsify for over 2.5. During my time here at Salsify, I've been lucky enough to work with Dawn Powell, manager of e-commerce at Kids2, and the others on the e-commerce team there. Dawn, do you want to introduce yourself next? Oh, you're on mute, Dawn.
Oh,
Nope,
still on mute.
still can't hear you, Dawn.
Thank you. I was trying to be polite and not have the
There
dog
you are.
interrupting. I'm Dawn Powell. I'm based in Asheville, North Carolina. I am the manager of e-commerce with Kids2. My specialty is working with our Salsify platform. I have been in e-commerce probably many more years than I want to tell and be honest.
Love that.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you to Salesify and thank you to Kids2 for participating in this. My name is Andrew Federici. I'm head of marketing for Smartcat, and we're thrilled to share some insights and experiences that hopefully you will all benefit from today.
Amazing. So yeah, there's your panel for today. Feel free to direct questions at one of them as they're talking, and that helps them at the end too, to be able to know who should answer what. So yeah, I'll put this link up again. This is the report that we'll be basing some of our conversation on. If you're curious about the rest of the report, feel free to download it. We're also, Salsify is going to have a deep dive of this consumer research report here in a couple of weeks on another webinar. So you should be receiving invites for that. I can drop in the link into this Zoom chat in a second. And then with that, I'm going to pass it over to Tracy to kick us off with all the good content that we have today.
Great. I'm going to start with some holiday trends from the Salsify research that Jenny has spoken about previously. And then I'm going to hand it off to Smartcat and Kids2 to really go through the meat of today's presentation. And then we'll have a Q&A as well. So if you think of any questions during today's webinar, feel free to drop them in the chat or to ask them during the Q&A at the end. So I'd like to start with reviewing last year's holiday spending. So the total global e-commerce spend in 2023 was $1.17 trillion. In Cyber Week alone, spending in 2023 was $298 billion. So no surprise, economic uncertainty is top of mind for many. And 65% of shoppers say they plan to spend about the same as they did last year, no more, no less. 27% of holiday shoppers will start shopping in October. And that's before most brands and retailers even begin to kick off their seasonal promotions. So 26 of holiday shoppers start shopping in November, even before the US Thanksgiving holiday. 19% of holiday shoppers start during Cyber Week. And there's also 7% of consumers who shop for holiday gifts all year long. So based on these holiday stats, brands really need to stay ahead of these spending timelines. Next, thank you. So a little background on Kids2, Smartcat, Salsify, and how we all partner together. Salsify and Kids2 have a long history. We've been working together for 10 years now. And in addition to leveraging Salsify to centralize all of their product information, Kids2 publishes their product content to dozens of retailers around the globe in multiple languages. Kids2 started working with Smartcat in 2021. They officially partnered in 2022, and Kids2 was integral in testing the Smartcat and Salsify integration. And Smartcat joined the Salsify Partner Program in 2022. Smartcat provides a unique and comprehensive solution to support the enterprise localization process from end to end, which is critical to many of our customers, making them a great partner for us. So, like many of the brands that I work with on a daily basis, Kids2 translates a variety of marketing materials into multiple languages. And Kids2 also translates and localizes a high volume of content for their e-commerce retailers. And that includes everything from product descriptions to feature bullets, instruction sheets, as well as care instructions. So the Kids2 team works with a lot of translated copy at any given time. And the process of feeding Excel files into Salsify without errors was really cumbersome and very time consuming. So by working together with Smartcat and Salsify, Kids2 was able to build a single central source of truth for all of their translated product content. That enabled consistent, accurate product data across the digital shelf, which is really what every brand is looking for. So, Dawn, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about Kids2 and maybe what's driving you all this holiday season and what you all are seeing in the marketplace.
Sure, I'm happy to, Tracy. So Kids2 is a global consumer goods company. We design products and holistic solutions for um, early stage parents and families. We believe that every family and every child deserves a bright future, regardless of their location, income, language, faith, or aspirations. One of the ways that we achieve this is by translating content in up to 12 languages. For us, localization serves as a powerful tool to connect with our customers, drive sales, and foster brand loyalty. As you mentioned, Tracy, the holiday season poses some challenges, and we're actively leveraging all available strategies to meet our sales goals. Localizing content plays a crucial role in building trust with our consumers, and by tailoring the information to their specific needs and cultural context and language preferences, we demonstrate an understanding and respect for their unique perspectives.
Great.
So at Kids2, the translation process involves handling up to 12 languages for packaging materials and consistently translating content into 8 languages for e-commerce materials. Working with Smartcat, we have a faster turnaround times, better consistency, and a central hub for content that easily integrates back into Salsify. It all results in fewer errors and faster time to market.
Great.
So Smartcat has helped us move our business forward by turnaround time being faster. We have a central repository for historical translation and the ability to edit translations before sending them back to Salsify. And our brand voice is consistent across our locales. This results in cost savings and time savings.
Very important.
So I'm sure everyone that's ever imported anything into a different locale is familiar with these Excel files with the language codes at the end. And before Smartcat, it was a disconnected process. We relied heavily on Excel for managing our translations and for emails, moving files back and forth with our translation agencies. And it was cumbersome, error prone. There was manual processes, errors that made like language codes not being accurate. The possibility that, I'm not native in Japanese or Chinese, and there's the possibility of uploading the wrong language to the wrong locale. Kids2 already had Smartcat, but there was still a challenge in uploading that content into Salsify, and the introduction of the integration of Smartcat to Salsify has been a huge game changer in time, accuracy, speed to market. So now Smartcat has visibility into the data that's stored in Salsify. You can see on one side the Smartcat view where you can actually see the products that are visible in Salsify. And then we're able to choose the products, to choose the properties that we wish to translate, to select the languages, and then hit Create Project. Quick and easy. And then once if you advance, oh, there you go. Once the project's complete, we can review the data. It can be edited in Smartcat, and when it's ready, it's synced back to Salsify to the correct properties and the locales, and it eliminates the chance for human error. Andrew, would you share a little more about all the bells and whistles that are involved?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for taking us through that. I think the piece Don is talking about is this workflow at its very core, a workflow that allows you to manage things that's not an error-prone situation, as Don described before. And so this workflow, this project creation allows you to keep the pieces that you want to translate contained. And also because we have an unlimited seat model, you can invite as many employees into the platform as you see fit, and everyone can collaborate simultaneously. So from a workflow collaboration perspective, it's quite efficient. And if you're using AI translation, for instance, our system will remember and learn every edit that your team makes so that your content gets smarter and smarter and you spend less time on review. And part of that is something called translation quality score, which is an algorithm that will tell you where the spots you should focus on are, and so you don't have to look through all of the content at the same time. Usually, it will be 10 to 15% that actually needs attention. And so, as this learning algorithm gets smarter and smarter over time, you're spending less time actually editing content in other languages. Just to expand a little bit upon the, as Dawn said, the bells and whistles, Smartcat has AI translation, of course, at its core, which is very fast and efficient and high quality. And many companies, such as Kids2, have internal resources that they use to review and edit. However, for certain languages, some companies may not have the internal resources, and so they need to have help. Smartcat has a proprietary marketplace of editors across the globe, almost 500,000, which is about half the entire market. And so if someone was looking for, let's say, an editor in Japan or an editor in Brazil who has native Portuguese or Japanese, with a click of a button, that person can be actually assigned to the project. They can review the project and send it back to you in a matter of hours. And so when we think about this process of localization that Dawn has been working with, there's really this end-to-end flow that can help you with every stage of that process, from the integration with Salsify back and forth, to selecting the content, to translating it quickly with AI, looking at which areas need focus, and then even assigning it out to someone to actually help you do that review and edit. So I think it's been a wonderful partnership, and I just wanted to give you some more insights into what this workflow looks like and what's available to you in this system. So thank you.
So we can actually see the project status and the history and then the performance metrics that Andrew was speaking about in Smartcat. So you can go back and revisit the projects that you've already created. One of the features that I really like is that there is that AI translation that pulls the content that we've already, so if we've if we've translated a product before and those same phrases are used, Smartcat pulls that in. So we're keeping the consistency in that locale. And then by using the marketplace, it allows us to work with the same editors over and over again, so they learn our brand voice. So Smartcat sort of preps the work for them by pulling to keep consistency, and then we're working with someone that has already learned our brand voice through this process, and that makes things faster and definitely a better brand presentation.
Yeah, it's a great point, Don. Thank you for mentioning that. I think consistency is a term that I hear many, many times a day when it comes to content and localization. And as Don said, I think the beauty of this system is to pull in product names and terminology that needs to be consistent no matter where it is in the globe. And that could be a branded term, it could be a product name, it could be something else. And so with Smartcat, that consistency is maintained globally. And so it really takes out that risk and then that issue of things not being properly accounted for. And as Dawn said, as you work with the marketplace, you can assign things to people over and over again. They become almost part of your extended team. And so I think that's another exciting thing to take advantage of. And here we're just seeing some of the projects and the turnaround time, how long things are taking, and who is editing what, and how, where is that in its stage. And so and every piece that you translate has a score, and it will automatically show you exactly which sentences or a series of words need attention. And so you can quickly scan it, look at what needs attention, and either the internal resource or the external resource through Marketplace can review that for you. So great.
Great.
So
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Jenny. I'm sorry, Tracy.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Andrew. That was really insightful, and we hope that everyone really got a lot out of this today. So who has questions? We're going to move on to Q&A now.
yeah, I think while everyone's dropping in their Q&A questions, if you have any, I would love to kind of talk about the relationship between, Smartcat and Next Gen PXM and Kids2. I think something that we didn't really talk about when we first started is that when Salsify released our new features this year with our Next Gen PXM suite, right? Like Smartcat and some of our connectors with our partners are big part of that because we wanted functionality, but better functionality for our customers. So like, and Kids2 and many of our customers that Tracy works with, and Tracy and I were talking about it the other day, like there's so many use cases like these where it feels like this topic is so niche, right? Like you don't really think about translations and like multilingual pieces when you're budgeting out your calendar year, but so important, right? We talk about holiday, but it's beyond the holiday. It's setting, all of your international selling up for success. I just really want to highlight that, like, Salsify loves adding these types of functionalities for our customers, and we love to have, connectors. So if there's things that you guys are seeing that you're wanting, definitely let us know. And if you're not a Salsify customer or you're here from a Smartcat audience, we'd love to talk to you as well. But yeah, I just really want to highlight that the cohesion between our two solutions as well as just the need that we see in this space is pretty palpable as we're heading into this. I don't know what Salsify likes to call it, the next gen of PXM and the digital shelf. But this, like everyone knows, just the digital shelf is changing. I love the AI functionalities of Smartcat. So I just want to highlight all of that before we kick it off into the questions, just to kind of get some wheels spinning. And I do see some questions.
I see. Yeah, I do see. What's typical turnaround time for translation? Maybe Dawn, if would love to hear you expand a little bit on that. I know we touched on it on one of the slides, but how was that transformation for you?
Well, the AI piece of things, having the instant translation is a big piece of things. We typically use the marketplace, which can take a couple days to a week normally to get the translations back from our English content. We're looking at, I've got a use case right now that we're investigating of using the AI because we've developed so far with our content, using that for a different piece of our marketing efforts other than our digital e-commerce digital shelf.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And I think to your point, AI translation, of course, is minutes. And then marketplace can be varied depending on how much content and where that is taking place. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity to make that process more efficient. I see a question here about the setup. It's actually very simple. It's a few clicks and one or two copy pastes to have the integration set up. So it's really a matter of minutes to set this up. I see another question.
Andrew, just to expand on,
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Before there was all the chance for error with uploading spreadsheets. Having the integration, once it was set up and my team knows, click the button, do this, it's exponentially faster for them. And it removes the errors because all the interface is there. They're just working in a UI rather than having to figure out how to upload a spreadsheet, which is not that difficult, but when you're getting to different languages and lots of columns, it becomes cumbersome.
Got it. I see so many wonderful people here in the webinar, and I'm just want to give people a chance to submit a question in the Q&A button, which is down on the right-hand side. So just if you have any questions, please, we'd love to involve you in the conversation. I'm sure people will learn from you. There is a question here I see about video. And yes, in terms of video translation, Smartcat has AI dubbing. You can dub videos into as many languages as we support, which is almost all, about 250 plus. And that happens literally, you drop the video in, it will create the dub, and then you can export it. So it's quite simple and easy from end to end. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know, Dawn, if you have any video examples that you want to share.
I don't right offhand, and that's something we're exploring as we have been doing our dubbing in-house. And so this is something that I've got in front of my team right now, is using Smartcat to do the AI dubbing. So that's in testing process right now with my creative team.
Fantastic.
I
see it. Yeah, go ahead.
The question about the limitations. Are there any limitations Kids2 saw as you were internationally expanding using translations, or things we should be considering as we're starting? I think we benefited a lot in the beginning from using the marketplace as establishing the brand voice. And now that we're seeing the consistency in the translations, the AI piece is becoming much easier to use because we already have that historical data in Smartcat.
Got it. And Ton, how many people work across Salsify and Smartcat? I'm just curious what your team operation looks like. People might be interested to learn about that.
We have, I think, about 20 users in Smartcat across our creative team, which handles packaging and images. And then across our e-commerce team that handles product copy. So we have a variety of different folks, working with our content at any one time. In Salsify, we have around 250 users. Yeah, everybody nods and goes, what?
Yeah, you guys have a lot.
Yes. And so pushing, having 20 users that are working with content and sending it back and forth, that's a lot to get it right. Having 250, using that content, we've got to have it right.
Great point.
I love when I hear like the above 100 number in Salsify.
That what
Yes.
surprised me at the Digital Shelf Summit was that everybody looked at me like I was, a strange being when I said we had 250 users.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
do
in
it,
terms of
you do it
part
right.
of the day-to-day at Kids2.
Yeah.
John, when you think about the future, are there other locales or languages that you're considering? I know you mentioned 12 languages today. What does the future look like in terms of expansion?
We translate, the bulk of our translations are usually our digital shelf content, product descriptions, titles, that type of thing. And we translate into 8 languages there. We translate into 12 for packaging or owner's manuals. I know in our e-commerce digital shelf, we're looking at expanding into Turkish. And my team threw another one at me the other day. We're not consistently translating into Portuguese yet, but those are both that are on the roadmap.
Got it. And those decisions to expand, I'm sure, have something to do with the market demand and where people are purchasing and what that volume looks like, probably.
Yes, it depends on, where our sales team is working hard and what markets they're moving into and what the demand is for us to be able to syndicate that content out to their distributors and retailers quickly.
Got it. I'm wondering how many people on the call are actively localizing content. Maybe somebody can put raise their hand, perhaps, or put something in the Q&A. I'm just curious what percentage of people are doing that today. Maybe you can raise your hand or something. And how much time do you think this new process has saved your team over the last year or two? If you were to bucket all of that together into hours or days or something, I don't know what it would look like, but I'm curious.
You want me to do math, Andrew? So I will say that the translation process before, we were going back and forth with spreadsheets. So it could take, back and forth in days and then uploading content to now we're doing it at the push of a button. So just the process of pushing the information back and forth has gone to, less than 5 minutes versus what would have been 15, 20 minutes per product. And that's, that's without
That's a
all of the
year.
back and forth. So it's a huge savings. Every single product to save 15 minutes is a huge savings that without even throwing the accuracy piece into things. And the cost of retranslations if something had been uploaded incorrectly and that we didn't have the historical before our relationship with Smartcat, that everything was stored in a shared drive on Excel files. We didn't have an easy way to go back and say, hey, pull these translations again. They were loaded wrong into Salsify. We had to dig through a spreadsheet, dig through a file and find the correct content. Now it's, open up Smartcat, find it, push the button and send it back over correctly.
Got it.
Yeah, so much
And
efficiency.
what are the consequences of this inaccuracy that we were talking about? I think a lot of people probably are familiar with stories of brands localizing and having things that aren't accurate or what to you were kind of the stakes there, and what were the consequences of that for the business?
Well, the first one is loss of sales. I mean, if you've uploaded Chinese into Japanese content, your audience is not going to understand it. They're going to skip right on by your product. The second part of that is if you have inaccurate information, the consumer is making that purchasing decision against what you've put there. So you have a consequence of they think the product is one thing and they get something else. And if if it's not accurate, they think it has this feature and it doesn't. So you're faced with the associated cost with returns or warranty issues. So, any of that, it plays into bottom line cost.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I wonder if you have any sense of what that that impact was before this entire system was in place versus now.
Again, you're asking me for math. Actually,
Sorry.
I've been with Kids2 about 3 years. So I don't have the historical data on all of this. I mean, our relationship with you guys predates me. Our relationship with Salsify has been a very long-standing one. So when I started with Kids2, was tasked with, hey, this is, painful for us. Find a solution. And that's when you guys all came into play and came together to, say, hey, we've got a customer that has this problem. How can we fix it? Which I think is what's one of the greatest things with working with you, is that you're both willing to address the needs of your customers and say, and involve us in the process to ask for our feedback. And if we say, hey, we're having this issue or this is cumbersome, you listen to our voice.
I love to hear
Thank you for saying
that.
that.
I got
And I
that on
think-
a recording this time. I love it.
Yeah, I think we choose
Yeah.
our partners wisely as well. I know I work with other partners that it's the same thing. They want to help the Salsify customers. They want to know what the pain points are. And if it's something that they can't fix today, it's something that they tend to put on the roadmap for the future.
Dawn, if you had some advice for or some words of wisdom for the participants today in terms of localizing content, what would be your top 5 learnings, insights, recommendations as people are perhaps out there struggling, although they don't want to maybe talk about it in this forum, but I think it would be amazing just to hear those words of wisdom, if you don't mind.
I think the first one is don't be afraid. That, don't be afraid to, to give the process a try. You don't learn anything and you don't expand your market unless you're giving it a shot. To have a direction, make a use case of, we're going into this market and, these are the products that we're marketing in this, and to stay on top of your metrics as to what your response, is it generating sales for you? And how do we need to tweak how we're addressing the content or addressing our wording? That English doesn't mean the same thing as it does in French. The translation piece is really important to get that localization piece down, that what we mean in English means something else in French, and to keep that in mind. And that's where Smartcat comes in to, help with that. And I think that's why we've liked working with the marketplace and the AI piece together. You give me tasking me with 5. You're making me do math again, Andrew.
That's fine. No, as many as you can think of. 5 is kind of arbitrary, but that's yeah. I think those are. It seemed obvious, but hard to maybe take that leap sometimes and make try something that's new.
And that's part of it is, I think reach out and try. I mean, this process, we were already translating when I joined Kids2. Reaching out and trying a new partner or testing something to see what your results are, you don't learn something new, you don't create a new process, you don't save time unless you're willing to invest a little bit of your time into trying a new process and then documenting your use case.
Yeah, documentation piece is so key to kind of replicate this thing across the board.
I've involved our consumer marketing managers and other parts of our team to say, okay, how long was this taking you before? How long is it taking you now? Here's the benefits, and to lay on the line for your CFO, where you're saving the money, so they make the investment into, it's worth the investment to make the change.
Great. Well, I think we only have a minute or two left, so any final words, Tracy or Jenny, that you want to share?
No, I just want to say thank you to, Kids2 and Smartcat for joining us. We love presenting like brand use cases and customer use cases to just the rest of our audience. Yeah, I want to make that plug again. Like if you haven't looked at, our app marketplace, please do it. There's so many good ones like Smartcat out there that if you haven't been thinking of different functionalities, features, or even like selling use cases, talk to your CSMs, start that conversation with Salsify or Smartcat if you're thinking about the AI translation, multilingual piece of your business. But yeah, I loved having you guys on. It's always a really fun conversation. It's our second time working together, so I'm really excited to see where we'll take this thing.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you both, and thanks to participants.
Yeah, thank you for everyone for joining. All right. Again, the recording will be in your inboxes probably by next week. And with that, I'm going to close out the webinar. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.